Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out here shooting the XDS 9mm. This is the brand new ultra compact handgun offered by Springfield Armory based on the XD line. If you guys remember, I reviewed the 45 version of this several months ago and I really liked the handgun quite a bit. The only thing I dinged that handgun on, really, aside from the grip safety, was the fact that I felt it was the wrong caliber. It was 45 versus 9mm. Springfield's fixed that now and they're offering it 9mm, and we're going to take a closer look at it. Shooting the XDS 9mm is very pleasant. Despite its diminutive size, the handgun is very controllable and easy to shoot. It does have a grip safety back here on the grip, so you do have to have a nice deep grip on the pistol when you fire it to make sure that it's going to reliably function. If you grab low and try to pull the trigger, the gun's not going to fire until you seat your grip, then the gun will fire. So presentation from the holster is critical with a handgun with the grip safety. If I was going to ding this handgun at all, it would be for this grip safety. I hate grip safeties. But it's small, it sets high enough, the grip is small enough, it almost forces you to get a proper grip on the handgun, so I've never had a problem with it. I have seen people that I know have problems with the grip safety on the standard XD pistol, where they've drawn fast on the timer, missed the grip safety, pulled the trigger, and couldn't figure out why the gun wasn't firing, and that's definitely not something you want to have happen to you in a gunfight. But on the XDS 9mm, it hasn't caused me any problems. I do prefer it over the Shield's manual safety. Hate manual safeties on striker-fired pistols. The handgun features a loaded chamber indicator, which is right here across the top. When there's a round in the chamber, it protrudes, it sticks up, it gives you a visual and a tactile cue, so when the gun's in the holster, you can run your finger across the top of the gun and know if it's got a round in the chamber or not. The only problem with this is on the standard XD series of pistols, and the same thing will happen with this one, is in my experience when the gun starts to get dirty, it'll give you false positives. Worst case scenario, you'll run your finger across and think you got a round in the chamber when you really don't. From a safety standpoint, it's not such a bad thing. From a life or death standpoint, it's a horrible thing, so you don't want to trust that that thing's actually working right or not. If it's dirty, it can give false positives. So still want to manually check to make sure you got a round in the chamber before you go out to carry it that day. The handgun has familiar controls. Takedown lever right here, slide stop right there. Traditional American magazine release, a button that has a little bit of a pattern on it there, so it gives a little bit of a feeling to it that it's a positive feel to it. And then you have the texturing. The texturing is very, very aggressive here on the grip. It's not sharp, it doesn't hurt your hand, but if you get mud or something on your hands, it's definitely more aggressive than what you'll find on most other pistols. The handgun also features removable back straps. Of dubious value in my opinion. You can get larger ones. I think the smallest one comes on the handgun. There's two other ones you can put on here. It's kind of one of those things I think is a gimmick. I don't really see it having a purpose on a small handgun like this, but I'm sure some of you will argue with me on that point. The sights on the handgun are outstanding. Has a fiber optic orange dot here in the front, and then just a standard 2-dot white dot arrangement here in the back. The back of it has serrations, so it reduces glare off the back of the sight. The front sight also has serrations around the fiber optic dot, so it's just going to reduce the glare. It has a very nice sight picture. Both the front and the rear sight are dovetailed into the pistol. The pistol is just short, or just over, I'm sorry, 6 inches in length, about 6 1/4 inches in length, so it's a very short handgun. And the best part of it is it's less than 1 inch wide, so it's very narrow, and that's probably one of your most critical measurements, is how thick it is. It makes it comfortable to carry, and then the very short grip, which this pistol holds 7 rounds of 9mm. With its standard base, you can get a 10-round extended magazine, which I don't see the point in because it actually makes the gun as big as a full-size handgun. If you're going to carry a subcompact, carry it with a short magazine, otherwise carry a full-size handgun. But anyway, the 7-round magazine fits flush, and it is very short, and that's a critical dimension when it comes to concealability. That's what prints. The barrel length really doesn't matter. You can stick a 10-inch barrel down your pants, and you can hide it pretty easily. That grip is what that critical dimension is. Now, the handgun I found shoots well with just about everything I fed it. Here's some 124 grain lead ball rounds that I reload these myself. They're not very hot whatsoever. And it cycles this handgun just fine. I'll fire 7 rounds out of it here to show you really quick. The only problem I may have with it is it may not lock the slide open with the light loads, but I typically don't have that problem. smoke you see right there, that's actually lead dust from the lead bullets. Slide locked open just fine. Now here's one of the things I really like about the handgun. Notice the attitude of the handgun. I'm going to hit the magazine release on it here really quick and watch this magazine, what happens. Slides locked to the rear so there's no pressure downward on the magazine from the slide being closed. But when I hit the release button, it ejects that magazine positively. There's no mistaking you're going to release that magazine. You hit that button, it doesn't matter if you have a slightly nose-up attitude, that magazine's coming out as you're going for your spare for a reload. Speaking of reloads, I have another magazine here. This is Federal ball. This is just standard Federal 115 grain ball range ammunition. I'll show you really quick that it functions just fine with that as well. You shouldn't notice as much smoke because we're not shooting lead bullets. These are jacketed bullets. Again, the slide locks open just fine. Now, just like the Glock that it's copied after, it has the dingus on the trigger. The dingus is your only safety, if you can call it that. I don't consider it a safety. What it's really intended for and why Glock originally designed it is to prevent the gun from firing if dropped. If it hits, you don't want the mass of the trigger coming back and pulling itself. It's a polymer trigger, probably not going to have enough mass to overcome the spring, but it's another safety measure. You can drop it off the Empire State Building, this gun's not going to fire. But the dingus also prevents you from firing if you don't have a proper finger grip on the trigger. Okay, I want to make sure the gun's empty here so I don't send it around over the berm. Got to engage the grip safety, but when you pull the trigger, you got to release, you got to pull in that little dingus lever, and then the gun can fire. If you don't have the dingus engaged, you pull the trigger from the side, you don't engage it, it can't fire. The gun can't fire, even if I hit the grip safety there. There you go. But it's real easy to hit. You're never going to miss that dingus. You put your finger in there and put it on the trigger, you're going to disengage that trigger safety. The trigger on the gun is very nice. It's crisp, a little bit spongy, but definitely a good self-defense trigger. It's going to be well over 5 pounds, closer to 6 pounds. Field stripping the XDS 9mm is just like field stripping the 45 or pretty much any other modern 9mm polymer framed service grade handgun. All you have to do first is make sure that the weapon is empty. Now, of course, we have the visual and tactile cue here across the top, but we don't want to rely on that. Pull the slide to the rear, check the chamber, make sure it's empty, and then I can lock the slide to the rear using the slide stop, which is right here. Push up on that with my thumb, draw the slide to the rear, and lock it in the open position. The takedown lever is right here. You push it from the front, it rotates up like that to the takedown position, and now you'll hit the slide stop and ride the slide home. You will also have to pull the trigger to release the sear, because you can see I can't pull the slide off the frame right now. Hold it back till it's flush back here, release the sear, and the gun will come apart. Here's your lower receiver with trigger components, and here in the slide we have the double recoil spring. Pops out just like that. Push up on the hood of the barrel with your index finger and draw it out. And the firearm is completely field stripped, the only necessary stripping that's required for regular maintenance. Let's compare the XDS 9mm to other handguns on the market that are roughly in the same size category. This is the XDS 9mm. Now first I want to show it next to the original XDS 45. So here's the 45 and here's the 9mm. The dimensions are identical. They're so identical. Take a look at the thickness of the slides. 45's on the bottom. How wide they are. Both less than an inch wide. They are exactly the same in length, thickness, and in height. The only way you can tell them apart is look at the muzzle. And you can see that the muzzles are different. One just has a bigger hole in the end of it. So the 9mm, I think this is the 9mm I have here. Yep, it's so close to the 45 it's hard to tell. It's so close dimensionally to the 45. This is my PJ holster. I love this holster as an everyday carry holster. You can see the lint on it. I use this holster all the time. You can see it up inside there. It's really gross. But the XDS 9mm fits right into the PJ holster. I purchased the PJ holster after I got the XDS 45. Fits perfectly. So if you have a holster that fits your XDS 45, you're looking to what I would consider an upgrade to the 9mm version, the stuff that you have is going to work for you already. Like I said, the stuff that you already have will work for you just fine. This is the shield. Now I've compared the XDS 45 to the shield before, so dimensionally, nothing's changed. The shield, again, less than an inch thick. Height, very similar. Thickness is very similar. The length is very similar. Very similar handguns. So, if you're looking for the smaller of the two, really neither one of them is smaller than the other one. The only difference being is the safeties really. The Shield has this little recessed thumb safety here, which disables the trigger, makes it impossible to fire once it's engaged. The XDS, again, is free of any manual safeties. It does have the grip safety. So how does it stack up against true pocket pistols like this little Car P380? Well, here you can see the Car P380 is much smaller. It's a very small handgun. It's lighter, it's smaller, but it also shoots the 380. Now, the 380 is a caliber that is at the very bare minimum of a caliber I would use for personal defense. But I found of all the 380 caliber handguns, automatics that I've tried, this little car is the best. Has the best ergonomics, has the best trigger, has the best sights, and it's 100% reliable. But you're giving up size for a larger caliber, obviously. The only handgun that comes close to the size of this P380 that I've found is the DB9, which, you know, there's various reports out there of how reliable they are. I personally wouldn't trust one with my own personal defense. So there you have it. So the XDS 9mm isn't the smallest gun on the market. It's certainly no bigger than other products like the Shield. It's not as small as a 380, but I can stick this thing in a pocket. There are pocket holsters available for this handgun. I know I've had discussions on the forums where they say this gun's just too big to be considered a pocket carry gun. I guess it depends on how big you are and if you wear those goofy skinny jeans or not. If you wear man's pants like 511 tactical pants, this thing's going to drop right in the front pocket. And again, they do make pocket holsters for these handguns. All right, guys, it's time for some final thoughts on the XDS 9mm. Now, I have the XDS 9mm concealed on me right now. It's actually over here on my right hip. I have it concealed via a PJ holster, Kydex holster. As you can tell, the handgun just disappears underneath a light shirt that I'm wearing out here. It's an easily concealable handgun. It's great for summer carry. I like the XDS 9mm enough to actually use it in my daily carry regimen. I typically carry a Glock 19, but I also will carry this XDS 9mm, and I have when I'm wearing shorts and a light t-shirt because it is easier to conceal than my regular Glock 19. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you, even though I have the XDS 9mm here, in my front pocket, I have its bigger brother, the XDS 45. For all of those you guys that say that these aren't pocket carry handguns, again, if you wear man pants, these handguns drop nicely into a pocket. There's plenty of room in here for this thing to move around. I can even get it to lay muzzle down. It's laying in there sideways. That's how much room I have in the pocket. Now, with a proper pocket carry holster, this handgun would carry nicely in these pants. One other thing I wanted to show you about the XDS is that how it functions. I haven't shown you this yet with the critical duty 9mm handgun ammunition. The recoil on the handgun is awesome. It's very controllable. It's more controllable than its 45 bigger brother. Those are hotter 135 grain loads. Again, very, very controllable. The handgun overall, I really like. I like it better than the 45 version. First of all, I have 2 more rounds. The 45 only carries 5 rounds. I don't think that's enough. A revolver carries more rounds. That's if you have a 6-shot revolver, right? But the handgun is small, lightweight, easy to carry. It does feel a little bit lighter than the 45 version, especially when you have it loaded up with 9mm rounds versus the 45. So it's a nice, easy to carry handgun, shoots very nice, has great sights, and it comes to market right around $549. That's what I'm seeing them at online right now. That's what I paid for mine at my local gun shop, Bly Sports in Valparaiso, Indiana. So if you're looking for a nice concealment handgun that has pretty much every feature you can imagine, including a light rail here on the front, which I forgot to mention earlier, you really should take a look at the XDS 9mm. It fits good in the hand, even though my pinky does drop off. There are extended 10-shot magazines. I don't like them. That's just something you can get used to. The handgun shoots great. I get great groups out of this handgun. So the grip isn't an issue whatsoever. I think the price is fair. It's not the best price in the world, but $549 bucks, I think if you save up your lunch money, you can probably afford to get one. If you guys have any questions about this handgun, you can always ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/militaryarms. Also, swing by the bang switch. This video will be posted there as well with some behind-the-scenes information, a little bit more information about the handgun along with technical specifications. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.